Again I say, go to church and be with other Christians and worship God together in person as if your life depended on it, because it very much does. For those of you who still live in the land of privilege in which you are allowed to comfort yourself by repeating in the mirror that Christians are paranoid so that you can continue to blissfully continue ignoring the Word of God, or so that you can continue to shame those who try to follow it, I posit Pastor James Coates as an exhibit. Coates is neither a high-profile megachurch leader, nor is he a fringe sign holder yelling at people on the streets, but he is, for all intents and purposes, your very much milquetoast garden variety, declawed and defanged evangelical pastor who has spent the last week in solitary confinement after having been arrested in his home and ankle-cuffed in front of his children while he was forcibly removed from his home one evening a few days ago to be held for what the authorities described as an indefinite amount of time. No, he's not the pastor of an underground church in the Congo, nor was he a naive and overzealous traveler on a missions trip who strayed a little too far from the group while venturing through the Middle East. No, instead he is a painfully white man in a painfully white region of a painfully white and supposedly free country that is best known for flannel shirts, maple syrup, and being overly nice. His crime, in the year 2021, mind you, was not any of the crimes we often think of when otherwise mild-mannered men are taken into custody. He wasn't leading a double life, nor was he helping to incite an insurrection. No, he didn't even cheat on his taxes or donate too much to his favorite local politician, but instead he simply did his job as he has done every Sunday. He simply went to church, got up, and opened up the Word of God and spoke about its implications for the lives of those who believe in it, and spoke about its intended harmonious coexistence with human governments. He even sprinkled it with a dash of quotations from our very own United States Constitution. However, this seemingly benign activity has gone from a time-honored tradition in Western countries, such as our own and such as Canada, to now an offense that will get you arrested. Not only arrested, but moved from location to location in order to confuse would-be supporters. On top of that, the authorities posted bail, which his supporters promptly paid in anticipation of his release. But instead they simply pocketed the money and made an excuse to simply move him to another location and keep him in bondage. Many of you in this country, either because your head is in the sand and you don't want to believe it, or because you secretly harbor hatred for the gospel yourself and haven't quite mustered the guts to be open about it yet, will say to yourself that certainly he must have broken some sort of local ordinance, or that perhaps he deserves it because he is helping to create so-called super spreader events. Of course, at this time, the environment is flooded with documentation indicating that churches, of all places, don't significantly spread the virus at all, and therefore this is simply an excuse to deal with those who may speak about an authority that is higher than their own governments, and at the end of the day, that was his crime. If you were to persist in saying that his incarceration is because of altruistic concerns about the virus, then I might ask, would it then not make sense to design terms of release centered around agreeing to never hold a service during a lockdown again? Wouldn't the terms have something to do with not causing gatherings and putting people in danger? Or even simply to agree to obey ordinances and laws again? However, he was offered release with one very specific demand. He needs to sign a very specific statement indicating that he will simply never preach again. That's it. No virus, no gathering concerns, but do not ever preach the word of God again. Which of course he won't sign, and therefore he continues to languish in captivity. And in a date and time when some of our strongest leaders are turning out to be spineless, I suppose I need to take my descriptive words back. For obviously, Mr. Coates is not declawed nor defanged. Obviously, his milquetoast appearance is recognized by his government as far more powerful and threatening than some of the loudest and most boastful voices coming out of Christianity today, and they are left alone to beat their chests. But let me ask you, if this man calmly and with a nerdy Calgarian accent strikes enough fear into the hearts of his government for them to extract him from his home and put him in solitary confinement, how long do you think it will take for them to decide that others who proclaim the gospel are equally as dangerous? That being said, I would encourage you to listen to the link. I understand that it is lengthy, but after all, it is a church sermon. It won't be what you might anticipate, but if you at all have a kernel left of respect for an authority that is higher than simply our very temporary and very unorganized governments, then you will not only find it fascinating, but find it compelling.